Hi everyone, and welcome to Species Center Stage for June 1st, 2023. I'm Lori with Behavior Education at Spirit Keeper Animal Sanctuary. And this week we have an unexpected species center stage, our Sonoran gopher snake. That is Pituaphis catnifer affinis. His name is Neutron. And it's unexpected because he's been fairly shy. He's in an enclosure that is 6 feet long and 3 feet deep and 18 inches high. And I put him in such a large enclosure because I didn't really expect him to come out and use exercise spaces or free roam because he has always been so shy. And he's come out and done a few foraging exercises over the years, but that's about it. So for some reason, after 3.5 years of living here, he has decided that he wants to come out all of a sudden and explore outside of his enclosure. So I saw him at his door the other day and I opened it, and quite unexpectedly, he actually started coming out the door, and I grabbed the closest thing nearby, which was our false water cobra shift container, and I held it up to his door because he was just coming out. So this first few seconds of video is me holding the camera with one hand and the shift container with the other hand up to his door because he was coming out. And then I called my husband in to help, and I had him hold it so that Neutron could come out the rest of the way and I could get a video of it. Now keep in mind, Neutron has never come out of this enclosure before. At most, he has targeted to the door. And he came out of his baby enclosure like twice and did foraging exercises on his own. But he has never, ever been in this shift container before. He's never been fed in it. I've never put him in it. I never take him out. I spot clean when he's in a hide, or I wait till he's in a humid hide and I take him out. But for some reason, he decided he was just coming out, and he shifted right into Vashti's shift. Now, my husband thinks that he has seen Vashti shift into this, and that maybe that's how he learned it, and it's quite possible because I shift Vashti in and out of this lots of times when I want her out so that I can clean her enclosure, and he is living right above her where he could potentially watch. So I carried the container into one of our bigger rooms, and I just put it flush with a bigger exercise tent. I just unzipped both doors and I, put them close to each other, and he ended up just staying in the smaller one. He didn't come out and shift himself into the bigger tent, but he looked at it. And so that was a new experience for him, and he had an opportunity to shift into the bigger tent if he wanted. This was just a novel experience for him, which he repeated a few days later, but this time I was ready. I saw him at his door, and I put the shift on a chair adjacent to his enclosure so that if he did come out, he could do that in his own time, and I didn't have to hold the tent. I could digitally record his behavior. And it was tilted a little bit. It wasn't exactly flush with his enclosure door. So he started, I felt like, to go down below his enclosure, and I just moved the tent slightly, and then he went right into it. He's only ever been in this that one time that I just showed you. So it's just perplexing to me that such a shy snake for 3.5 years, he's been no problem to manage, but he just hasn't been a snake that comes out or engages in activities outside of his enclosure, suddenly is just coming out when his door is open, and he just puts himself into this shift that he has never been trained in or exposed to before, other than potentially seeing the false water cobra use it. And she does eat in it, so potentially it smells like her, potentially it smells like prey items. I do clean it, but because she's the only one that uses it, I don't clean it thoroughly, so I'm sure there are scents in there. Now, Pituaphis do eat other snakes, so is he smelling the false water cobra in here? Is he smelling her prey items? Or is this just a novel experience that he is, for whatever reason, choosing to engage in now all of a sudden because he's older, because he's bigger, because he's more confident? I don't know, but I again carried the container into our other room. I affixed it adjacent to this exercise tent again, and I put a little bit more forethought into it this time. So I put the doors flush with each other, and I zipped them up partially so that I didn't feel like there was any way that he could sneak out around either door. There was just a small window for him to move back and forth, and I clipped the enclosures together with some big file clips. So he investigated the bigger pen more this time than he did the first time, but he didn't shift all the way into it. And I just left him there for a few hours while I was working in my office, which is in the room just adjacent to this, but there's really no door or a full wall between them, so I could watch him and keep an eye on what he was doing. And he just seemed to find something reinforcing about this experience of just being out of his normal habitat in this novel area. And he smelled around, he tongue flicked, he moved around in that smaller rectangular shift box, and then he investigated the larger one just with his head and neck, but he never shifted all the way into it. And after several hours, he put himself into one of those blue dog bakery dog biscuit boxes. That's the yellow and orange one with the blue dog on the front. And when I saw that he was in there, I picked that up and I put it back into his normal enclosure. And that's exactly what I did last time. So now that's twice in a row he put himself in that box for me to shift him back. And so if I continue to do that, he should associate that box with going back to his enclosure. And hopefully that can become his shift or his transport container if this is going to be something he does on a regular basis.